6 Ds up here this year and the 80-20. I got 2 early 24 Ds here, a 34 with the KW lighting, 37 with the skeleton wheels, this here 30 with the extensions on it, and then the 80-20 also, yeah. We had just come from Elbert City a couple weeks ago down in Iowa, which they were featuring John Deere also. So yeah, I kind of like to hit a few shows every summer. So when I was a little kid, 12, 13 years old, my neighbor used to bring me up here every year. And then when I turned 15, I had my farm permit, so I started driving up here. And until about 1996, when I met Tammy, I was here every year. So up until 96, I never missed a year, but now it's been 30 years since I've been here, or 28 years, I guess, yeah. So, it definitely grew. It definitely grew. A lot of new things to see here, and notice there's a lot of people here this morning. So, looks like a great show this year.
So I brought a little bit of everything down here to Rollog this year. I got everything from an A all the way to a 40-20 down here. So we got 23 tractors in total this year. I've pretty much been coming to Rollog my entire life. So been a fun run here of coming down here. So a lot of fun to spend time with a lot of good friends. So. And then this A behind me here is one of the ones that got us started in the hobby. We purchased it from Stan Sandman of Hawley here probably 20 years ago and did a nut and bolt restoration on it. So, well, we've been working on this Expo for about 5 years now, trying to get some rare or unique tractors in, and I think we succeeded on that. We got a lot of unique stuff from the Don Duffner collection and a few other local guys, and yeah, it turned out real good, I think. So.
My name is Kevin Albright. I am from Marion, South Dakota, and this is my 1926 D. These were made for 30 years, approximately 30 years, and this is a fairly early one. In the earliest days, they built spoke flywheel Ds, and the early spoke flywheels had a problem with braking, and so they decided to go to a solid flywheel. The last spoke flywheel D built was in late 1925, just before Christmas break. It was serial number 36248, and this tractor is 36249. It was built January 2nd of 1926. So the early solid flywheel Ds had what they called a nickel hole in them. So when they were pouring these Ds, these flywheels, they were known to crack, and you needed the hole at the end of the slot where it slid over the crankshaft for relief. And when they'd mount these flywheels, they'd put a wedge in the slot to drive them apart so they could slide them over the crankshaft. And if they broke, either due to internal stress when they were in use, or if they broke, when they were installing them, they realized that the little tiny nickel holes at the end of the crankshaft, at the end of the slot, were too small. And so after about 2,000 numbers, they went to a much bigger hole at the end of the slots, and that gave them the relief they needed so they didn't break flywheels as often. So that's the story of that. This particular tractor was one that was local. It was shipped to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then the Marion John Deere dealership in Marion, South Dakota, it was a Hebe agency. They closed in the early 30s. In the Albright collection, we've got 3 Hebe tractors. This one was owned by an operator that was so careful that in winter he would hook it up to a team of horses and pull it to the implement that he was belting. He'd start it up, he'd run the implement because he didn't want to break the lugs on the frozen ground. The hood and the fenders it's all original tin work, and he was just very conscientious and very careful with the tractor. And my dad collected it. He didn't realize that it was the first serial numbered nickel hole flywheel D, and but he had already collected 25, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 Ds. He was born in 1926 and he wanted a 26. And so he talked to the local man and he asked him, what do you want for your D? This is back in the 60s, and the man said $5,000, and at that time that was like way too high for a D John Deere. And so Dad waited. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he waited, and the guy asked the guy again, what do you want for the D? $4,000. And Dad finally waited him out and paid $800 for the tractor. And at that time, that was an arm and a leg. It was way too much for what it was, but it was a local tractor, and it was a 26, and my dad was born in 26. And so after collecting the tractor, we learned that it was 36249, that was the start of the solid flywheel Ds. Dad learned that, so how did we learn about the solid flywheel? In the mid-70s, we were in Nebraska, and we visited a man by the name of Ken Burns, and he was very good with John Deere history. And Dad asked Ken Burns, what's so special about D serial number 36248? At that time, Gas Engine Magazine was doing a serial number search. They wanted to register all Waterloo boys and all Ds that were built up to serial number 36248. So he asked Ken Burns, what's so special about 36248? We missed it by 1. And Ken Burns said, well, 36248 was the last. Then he stopped. What did you just say? And Dad said, we missed it by 1. And Ken Burns explained that 36248 was the last spoker, and 36249 was the start of solid flywheel Ds with a nickel hole.
Name's Garrick Rodewald. I'm from Holly, Minnesota. This plow has been made for 2 years. They're hard to find. They're more made down for southern parts where they have no headlands. And these plows were easy enough where they're a two-way plow. And this one came out of Montana where a friend of mine bought it. It's been sitting for about 9 years. I picked it up 2 years ago, pretty much repainted it, gave it a nice job, tried to. This tractor has been from Minnesota all its life as a dairy farm tractor with no loader. And I've been using it ever since on the farm at my home place, ever since I was a kid. And now I've been coming to Roll-Log ever since I was a kid, pretty much. It's where it's been ever since, and now I'm bringing my own stuff to show and turn heads. That's what I want to do.
My name's Corey Gehring. I'm from Hartford, South Dakota. I collect tractors with my brother Leland Gehring and my son Cody Gehring. Here we have a 1925 Spoker D, bought about a year ago from Julesburg, Colorado. It's got the spoke flywheel, of course. It's a 25. Got this tractor. I was very happy with it. It was my first Spoker D. Kind of hard to come by over in South Dakota. Bought it in this shape. Had it in the shed a couple days ago. Got it out, got it brought up here. This is my first time I've been here in 20 years, and it is amazing. I'd love to spend a week here, or camp here. We're here for a couple of days. We were here 20 years ago. We were at the National Plowing Contest, and you guys got a lot of rain. We ended up moving it like 10, 12 miles away. I believe I was plowing with a 1936 D that Kevin has right now. Just been a kind of a D collector in the unstyled A's. Love the John Deeres. We got a few off-colored Fords, a couple red ones, but mostly John Deere. Amazing show you guys have here. I will be back next year. You can't see it all in a day. You need a couple weeks almost. It's a super nice place. I would highly recommend it.